Beat Fixer.
Upgrading an original Xbox with an existing Aladdin Modchip to run Cerbios.
Beat. Game on.
Welcome to 2026, a year I will be covering a lot of original Xbox content, including detailed videos and a gigantic step-by-step guide to help original Xbox owners upgrade their consoles without needing to be repair technicians. The last few years on the Xbox scene have been amazing, with Rocky V and Hardcroft pushing hard on the softmod side of the Xbox scene. That progress made me think back to the huge number of original Xboxes that were hard-modded over the last couple of decades as well. So in November 2025, I started writing a guide intended to help hard-modded Xbox owners bring their consoles up to 2026 standards. At this point, the guide is well over 100 pages, packed with details, edge cases, and explanations. The video you are about to watch is one of the supporting videos for that guide, and I hope it works well alongside the written steps. This is Beat Fixer signing out, and I hope you enjoy the video. Let's take a look at this good example of a pretty run-of-the-mill Xbox version 1.6b that's been hard-modded with an Aladdin Modchip. It boots with a classic purple AVOX logo in the top left corner, which is exactly what you'd expect to see on a 1.6 system with an Aladdin Modchip. In most cases, that means it's running the M8 Plus BIOS, a solid, stable BIOS that supported more partitions than the earlier releases. Right away, it's also pretty obvious that this console was originally modded for just running backup disks. It's still using the original stock hard drive, and whoever did the mod didn't even bother swapping out the original 40-wire IDE cable, which is fine because I've got plenty of those replacements lying around. While jumping through the menus here, the hard drive setup also looks like a very typical Hexen install. So all in all, this actually is a perfect candidate for a proper upgrade. First things first though, networking. The Xbox is picking up an IP address via DHCP from the router, which is exactly what we want to see. With the IP sorted, the next step is to FTP in and make a full backup of the existing hard drive. After that, we'll copy over a few files from the PC, then we'll flash the system with a fresh Cerbios v3.1 BIOS, and after that, we'll re-image the hard disk. Sound good? Alright, let's go. Since this is still a stock 8GB hard drive and there isn't even a games folder on either the C or the E drive, I'm just going to copy everything over except for the DVD drive. It only takes a few minutes, and it's simply good practice to have a safety backup before changing anything. Now, if this Xbox did already have games stored on the hard drive, for example in C or E/games, personally I would skip backing those up. The reason is simple. You'll almost certainly be replacing them later with CCI compressed images anyway, and those take up significantly less space. Once we have the backup made to our computer, let's go to the next step. I'll copy in FATXplorer as an example, because while this dashboard does include a file explorer, many do not. And having direct file access on the Xbox is always essential. We'll also need XBlast, which we'll use to flash our prepared Cerbios v3.1 BIOS onto the Aladdin Modchip. XDON from FATXplorer gives us the freedom to completely reformat and partition the hard drive over the network. Clean, controlled, and without pulling the drive or doing anything locally on a PC. And finally, Rocky V's EEPROM Backuperer. Yes, that's a mouthful, but even if an EEPROM backup already exists on this hard disk, it takes seconds to run and can save you hours of pain later, so out of safety, we're assuming that's corrupt and we're just making a new backup. With the first batch of apps transferred to the Xbox, let's make an EEPROM backup. This tiny utility runs super fast, but don't forget the step, as it can sometimes save you a massive headache. I also really want to give a big shout out to Rocky V. I absolutely love how he has made this tool easily accessible via his GitHub, despite it being part of a softmod kit. Rocky has also confirmed that you are very welcome to use it on hard-modded Xboxes, and that truly shows his Xbox scene spirit. As you can see, the Xbox reboots itself once the backup has been dumped onto the E drive in the Backups folder. Now hop back onto your FTP connection and transfer that backups folder to the location on your PC or laptop where you transferred the rest of your Xbox backup earlier. Last but absolutely not least, and this is very important, make sure you FTP over the prepared Cerbios folder to the root of your E drive on the Xbox. This folder contains the all-important ini file, which tells your new v3.1 BIOS how to behave upon reboot, and the recovery folder that a new BIOS will point to, including the dashboard you set up in preparation. I can't stress this enough. Before you flash the BIOS, make 100% sure your E drive has the Cerbios folder. Let's reboot the Xbox here and run through our final checklist. You've made a backup of the original hard drive. You've run a backup of the EEPROM and transferred it to safety. Backuperer is in your apps folder in case your dashboard cannot handle files and folders. XDON has been added to your apps folder. XBlast has been added to your apps folder. And the Cerbios folder has been securely added to the root of your E drive. If all of that is in place, then it's finally time to flash the BIOS you have prepared and have ready on your PC or laptop. And of course, before we flash anything, let's quickly verify this in the Xbox File Explorer too. You should see the Cerbios folder sitting in the root of the E drive. Going into the apps folder, you should see Backuperer, XDON, and of course XBlast, which we're about to use now. Small reminder, XBlast will not appear in most dashboard app menus, so always launch it using a dashboard file explorer or an app like Box-Explorer. When XBlast boots, take note of this. You can safely ignore the unsupported Modchip message. It appears for just about every Modchip I've tested so far. In this case, I'm showing that the Aladdin XT Plus2 works perfectly fine, and the same applies to other Modchips as well as T-Sub flashed 1.0 to 1.4 consoles. If you're flashing a Modchip that isn't covered in my examples, please let me know so I can include it in my guide. As always, proceed at your own risk, but a little no risk, no fun does apply here. That said, I've already tested this across a dozen or so units without any issues. Go to Settings, then Flash, and finally Net Flash. XBlast will now start its network interface. Give it up to a minute to complete the 4 checks. Occasionally it may hang on acquiring IP address, and if that happens and you know FTP was working fine earlier, simply reboot the Xbox and try again. Once all 4 checks passed, XBlast will provide a web address that you can open on your PC or laptop to continue. Now, first note that your browser will show a not secure warning while connected to the Xbox as a web server. That's completely normal and nothing to worry about. The Xbox is using the older HTTP protocol instead of the HTTPS protocol, which modern browsers expect. Set the BIOS name to Cerbios. Next, click Choose File and select the cerbios.bin file that you edited earlier using the Cerbios tool v3. Once you've selected it, take a deep breath and click on Upload and Flash to send and flash the BIOS over the network. It takes your browser a few seconds to send over the bin file to the Xbox, and your PC or laptop will show a message that the BIOS flashing has started, and at the very same time your Xbox will display a progress bar on screen, moving through yellow, green and purple to show the flashing progress. Once the flash is complete, the Xbox will automatically reboot, and depending on how you configured your ini file, it will now boot for the very first time using Cerbios. Well, I hope you liked that new boot experience. I won't cover boot animation in this video, but that's one of the fun new features in Cerbios. You can swap them out later to give your Xbox a completely new look and feel. Depending on how you set up Cerbios, it will now boot straight into the dashboard you selected. In my case, we're recycling the old Evo X dashboard. Not the prettiest, but it'll do for now, since the next step is to format and repartition the hard drive so we can fully take advantage of Cerbios' improved storage features. When you see the green X pop up on screen, that means your Xbox is ready and waiting. Now switch over to your PC or laptop and launch FATXplorer, which can now communicate directly with your Xbox over the network. In the top left, click on Devices to let FATXplorer scan your network. After a few seconds, it will find your Xbox and clearly show the hard drive size and model number. Now, before we continue, keep in mind this video and the others in this series are examples that go alongside my full step-by-step written guide. That guide covers things like preparing your Cerbios bin file and creating the C and E drive images as zip files. You will need both of those zip files to continue from here, so if you haven't done that yet, jump over to the guide for the full details. Once we've confirmed that FATXplorer can see your Xbox under Devices, we can move over to the Formatting Tools section. From the pop-up menu, select Original Xbox HDD. FATXplorer will scan again and display the hard drive it has detected. Select the hard drive and click Next. On the following screen, choose the Cerbios option and click Next again. Then select Primary Hard Disk and click Next. At this point, FATXplorer automatically creates a best practice layout based on your hard drive size and the BIOS. If you want to make changes, you can click Restart in the configuration overview. Otherwise, just click Next to continue. And on this screen, we'll feed FATXplorer the zip files that we have prepared earlier by assigning each partition to its corresponding zip file. For the E partition, check Browse for zip. Then click Browse and select the eDrive.zip file on your computer. And note, this part is a little counterintuitive, but once the eDrive image is selected, do not click Next yet. Instead, switch to the C partition and repeat the same process by assigning the prepared C drive zip file. After both C and E partitions have their zip files assigned, click Next to continue. Last but not least, the review screen lets you do a good final check. You would not be the first to mix up the C and E drive or forget one of the two partitions. So make sure you verify the E partition has been assigned to your E drive zip file, and make sure your C drive partition has been assigned to your C drive zip file. If that checks out, go down and click on the Format button. And there we go, FATX is now formatting your Xbox hard disk across the network. Depending on how you set up your zip files, this can take anywhere from up to 10 minutes in my example setups, or much longer, which is obviously dependent on the size of your zip files you are using. I will just fast forward the footage here at high speed until it is nearly complete. Meanwhile, if you want to transfer large sets of games, I do not recommend putting them in your zip files. Firstly, FTP will usually provide faster and more flexible file transfers for this purpose, and having your hard disk properly formatted with a clean base image makes it easy to send games to E/games, F/games, G, and so on, including CCI format games across FTP. The second and much faster option is to get a paid license for FATXplorer. This allows you to access the hard disk directly from your PC or laptop, which makes a lot of sense for SATA disks using dedicated data transfer lines that far exceed the transfer speeds your Xbox could handle. In that case, you remove the hard disk and connect it to the PC either internally or across USB. This is obviously a personal choice, but I will say it is a luxury I personally find well worth the FATXplorer license fee, as transferring large amounts of data across FTP can otherwise feel like it takes forever. When the format completed successfully message appears, it's time to reboot the Xbox again. Wait for the boot process to complete, and if you've set evox-.xbe as your dashboard like I did, you will likely need to make a quick visit to the network settings to change the IP configuration from static to DHCP. The dashboard is set to static by default, and since we are running a clean, newly prepped image, this only needs to be changed once. Make the change, scroll all the way down, select save, and then reboot your Xbox using the power button again. Obviously, this will differ depending on which dashboard you choose, but as long as FTP is enabled, we are good to go. First, manually create a games folder in the root of your E drive on the Xbox and open that folder. From here, I will copy in 2 examples CCI compressed games to the stock hard disk in this Xbox. Now, I've selected 2 smaller titles that nicely demonstrate CCI compression, one NTSC and one PAL version. I will paste in the CCI image for F1 2002 PAL edition, which is 540 MB. After that, I'll paste in the CCI image for Super Bubble Pop NTSC edition, which is only 227 MB. And do they work? Well, since I do not want this video to trigger a copyright flag, you'll just have to take my word for it. From here, there are plenty of steps you can take, such as setting up XBMC for gamers, which by far is the most gamer-friendly and visually polished dashboard available. But that is something I will cover in another video. For now, I hope this served as a clear and thorough practical example of how to apply the information from my long step-by-step guide to a typical Aladdin Modchip setup. I hope this helped bring your original Xbox up to 2026 standards, and see you in another video, the full written guide, or somewhere on the Xbox Scene socials. Happy gaming, everyone!